1969, Apollo 7 was the first NASA mission that landed men on the moon. Two men walked on the moon. They were Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. And to me, I think the moon landing really symbolizes, or really kind of represents what we do here in a way, because NASA set a goal, and that goal was made by JFK in 1961 when he said that we would put men on the moon by the end of the decade. And we did, albeit very close to the deadline in 1969. That was the last year of the decade, but we did it. We put men on the moon. And that was a really long road to get there, but it was a very fulfilling road, and lots of development of technologies and iteration and innovation had to go into making this possible. So that kind of comes to the history of space travel. I have here a chain of innovation starting in the early 50s with the Vanguard rocket, specifically, that one right there. That was the first rocket system that the United States developed. It was a mess, a failure. It was terrible. They wanted to launch the first satellite with it. And as we all know, Russia launched the first satellite in 1957 when this one was supposed to. And they launched 11 missions with the Vanguard rockets. 3 of them were actually successful. So this was a failed program, and they really had to look at what went wrong and figure out how to do it better. And that's what they did with the next rocket, the Juno rocket program. That one was far more successful. It had a better success rate than 30%. 50 to 60% of the missions that it flew were successful as far as satellites go. And then this was also responsible for launching the Apollo mission to the moon. So it has a much better track record than the Vanguard rockets, and that's due to the development of technologies and fixing what went wrong in the last one. And next on the chain is this one over here. That is Skylab. It is the first US space station in mid-1970s, and it was created because NASA wanted to use the technologies for Apollo for something else. They wanted to take the technology that they developed to land on the moon and adapt it and use it for other stuff so it could still be useful into the 70s. And that was Skylab. It was a failure. Kind of theme, failure, success, failure. On launch, one of the solar panels got ripped off and the other one was jammed, and it had to undergo extensive repairs before it could be lived in. And they took the lessons from Skylab, the failure that it was, and in 1998 they began construction on the International Space Station. And as we know, this is very successful. It's been used for the last 18 years at this point, and it is going to be used at least until 2024. So they once again did they developed a poor space station and turned it into something better through trial and error and kind of that innovation. And that's how what we do here works its way into the future of space exploration and us moving forward into Mars, the moon again, and the rest of our immediate cosmos. Because the design thinking, the innovation, and the iteration that we partake in here is really essential for developing technologies for us to live and work on another planet. So, and entrepreneurship as well, because you have companies like SpaceX and Mars One, both Elon Musk, who are trying to take us there without the help of the government, because they want to try and beat NASA to Mars. So future moon missions, they are going to be repurposing technologies from decades prior and trying to build new rovers, and I believe I heard there was a plan to even build a mining station on Mars, which presents its own set of challenges that engineers in the future are going to have to solve. And the Mars missions, there's lots and lots of things that are going to have to be done in order for us to ever sustain a colony on Mars with oxygen production and food, like how are we going to grow food on Mars, and all of that really ties back into trying to research and solve problems by looking at what was done in the past and how you can take the technologies that already exist, make them better, and shape them for the future and the future of humanity and our life in the solar system. And so I'd like you all to be as excited about space exploration as I am, and the future going forward, and thinking about how the lessons we learn in school may not seem particularly applicable, but they can have a major role in the future of our solar system.